Hello, my name is R. Schrock, and I'm a professional editor and writing coach at my company, Indelible Voice, which you can find at any time at indeliblevoice.com. This is one in an ongoing series of videos on good academic writing practices. And in my travels and in my work as an academic editor and writing coach, I've worked with graduate students, assistant professors, full professors, really a range of academics. And I've found that no matter what they're writing, their academic writing can always benefit from an argument. However, we don't really talk that much about what an argument is. And in fact, just this week, I was meeting with a grad student who was working on her thesis. And I said, well, what is your argument? And she asked me, well, what the heck is that? And so this made me realize, well, I've written an article on what an argument is and how to find one, but I haven't yet done an easily accessible video. So that's what this is. In this video, I'm going to talk about what a well-shaped argument looks like and really the simplest form that you can use to present an argument in your academic writing. And an argument is something that is present in all forms of academic writing, and I would argue even in pieces of writing that are more scientific. You still have some kind of argument there that you are using to connect your interpretation of data with a particular conclusion. So, in its most basic form, an argument is a set of interpretations supported by data that lead to a particular conclusion. So, using words, you move through all of these parts. You tell the reader what your claims are. You describe the data you're using and also the big conclusion. Often the conclusion is what is discussed in the findings or results section and also the discussion section of academic journal articles. But you also will get hints about what an argument is throughout the body of a piece of academic writing because the author really states and restates what their argument is in many different ways throughout that piece of writing. So I think about the kind of bare bones version of an academic academic argument as data plus interpretation equals conclusion. A lot of the time, what academics will do is they'll actually forget about the interpretation and they'll present the data and then just say, this means X, this leads us to a particular conclusion. But I think of this as a really big mistake because your interpretation is really important. You need to actually interpret the data and tell the reader what that data means before you tell them what your conclusion is. And this is what in communication, folks who work in rhetoric do. They go into a lot. If you want to go into a lot greater detail, you can go look up rhetoric in communication. Particularly, this is based on what's known as the Toulmin model. I'm not going to talk too much about that in depth here, but again, if you want to kind of learn more, that's the direction that you would go in. So a lot of the time you find the D plus I equals C formula in a thesis statement in a book or article or conference paper. And once you kind of keep an eye out for it, you can kind of find it anywhere. So here's a thesis statement for an argument. It's by Dr. Mora in her book, Making Hispanics. And she writes, this book examines the rise of Hispanic pan-ethnicity in the United States by focusing on how activists, government officials, and media executives institutionalized the Hispanic category and developed a national movement to popularize the Hispanic identity. So this explains something about society, and she presents a puzzle of sorts. Many people are classified demographically as, quote, Hispanic, unquote, even if many of them don't like that term. It leverages novel data to make an original claim. This sentence lays out what Dr. Moore will argue in her book. And we can kind of, I'll walk you through how I see the D plus I equals C formula being used here. So the data are, actions of activists, government officials, and media executives. We assume that, she's going to be looking at anything from archives to doing interviews, but she's going to be writing about actions, maybe collective actions. Institutionalize the idea of a Hispanic identity through a national movement. That's her interpretation, right? That's what she argues the data adds up to. And what does this lead to? This leads to the dominance of the ethnic category of Hispanic. So if you've ever wondered where this kind of weird idea of being Hispanic has come from, here's the book that you should definitely read. So an argument like this can help describe why data matters. She might have just said, I'm going to analyze the actions of activists, government officials, and media executives. But what does it add up to? How is she interpreting it? And then how does it lead to a particular larger conclusion? In this way, an argument also connects smaller findings to a larger so what question. If you've ever had your advisor ask you, well, so what? Why does this stuff matter? Why does your research matter? You kind of have to get accustomed to having an answer to that question. It can also help you find the through line in your writing. And when I'm working with academics on their writing, a lot of the time I come back to the idea of an argument because, coming through with like that compact 1 or 2 sentence version of an argument, that thesis statement can actually help you clarify what goes in and what goes out of the rest of the piece of writing you're working on. It can also make your writing more engaging and easily understood. And it helps you do more than just fill a gap in the literature, right? Thanks so much for watching this free video trailer. The full version of this video can be found for free at indeliblevoice.com/writing club. Hope to see you there soon.